What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to My Social Life. This is the podcast where we teach you how to grow your social media by talking to the people that have actually done it. My guest today is Will Carey. Will is an Instagram photographer. He does a lot of portrait work, and he's currently sitting at over 11,000 Instagram followers. And of course, we're going to get into how he grew his following to over 11K. And yes, he is a photographer, so this episode will have a lot of conversations about photography in it. But even if you're not a photographer, this episode is really important, and Will hits on some really important things that I think everyone trying to grow their social media should be aware of and should be actively trying to do. Will has an engagement rate of about 13%, which if you don't know is extremely high. The average engagement rate for Instagram is around 3%. That's considered pretty good. And anyone considered an influencer, I say that with quotations, in their community has about a 5% engagement rate. So how does Will have an engagement rate nearly 3 times what's considered an influencer? I think that's something that's super important that we get into, that everyone should know, even if you're not a photographer. We also look at how Will worked recently on a giveaway when he passed 10,000 followers with a couple other creators, including Joey Kidney, who, if you don't know, has 670,000 plus subscribers on YouTube. So how does a guy like Will with 10,000 Instagram followers work with a guy with over 670,000 YouTube subscribers? I think there's some good stuff in there that you'll probably want to listen to. We also look at how Will got Brandon Woelfer to follow him on Instagram. Brandon Woelfer is a photographer out of New York with 2.3 million followers. So again, 10,000, 2.3 million. How did he pull that off? We'll get into that in this episode. And we also talk about brand deals. Will recently had his first brand deal, so it's really fresh for him. So we're going to talk about how he was able to get his first brand deal and how he was able to work it so it worked with his brand. The initial ask that came through to him wasn't exactly what was on par with what he does with his account. He didn't want to compromise that quality, which is, again, something super important I think all creators and people trying to grow their social media should know. So we get into that. It's a very important part of this conversation. But anyways, enough of me chatting here. Let's jump into this conversation with Will Carey. I really hope you enjoy it. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to My Social Life. This is the podcast where we talk to people that are absolutely killing it on social media, and we learn how they did it and different tips and tricks so that you can grow your social media. My guest today is Will Carey. Will is a photographer on Instagram. Would you say that's the best way to describe it?
Yeah. Oh, totally.
Yeah. So you can find him at Will Carey OVO, and he's currently sitting at over 11,000 Instagram followers. And that's kind of my quick high-level overview. But you want to tell everyone a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Yeah. So I was born in London, Ontario. I came up to Ottawa for school. I'm currently at Carleton for law right now. I started photography just before I came to school. It wasn't anything serious. It was just, I went to Best Buy, bought a camera, and just kind of messed around with my girlfriend at the time with photos. And anyways, I came to Carleton and I met with another photographer, and he kind of inspired me to push it a little bit more and get into it. And so I sold the camera immediately. I went out, I bought a semi-pro level DSLR, 6D Canon was my first one. And from there, it just kind of took off. Yeah.
Yeah. So photography is not your full-time job right now then?
During the summer, it is. It is a more seasonal job, just like with weddings and whatever else. People don't usually generally want photos during the winter. So in the summertime, photography is full-time. But in fall and winter, I do school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fair. So I saw on your website, though, that kind of like it started more with film and video. So did you ever kind of experiment with that at all?
Yeah. I haven't done too much video work yet. I've done a little bit. I took some video of my trip to Vancouver last January, February. But I haven't been able to do anything. My laptop can't really handle 4K at the moment, but I just got a new one. So I'm going to start working on that a little bit more. Other than that, I haven't really had anything to video. I'm really big into travel videos though, so that's kind of what I'm like gearing towards.
Yeah. So I saw too, there was like a specific, like you call it out in your website, it's like a travel video from Greece or something that you watched. Do you know who that was?
It was Jay Alvarez's Greece video.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was working. I did a year at Western before I came to Carleton, and I dropped out. And I was taking the year off after that to just work and whatever else. And whenever work got slow, I'd be able to browse YouTube on my phone, and I came across his videos, and it was just crazy to me that somebody could be living this lifestyle. And I just saw it, and I thought to myself, I want to be able to take photos of that. I want to be able to live that lifestyle as well. Yeah. So that's kind of what got me into photography and videography a little bit. The video part is coming probably a little bit later, but photography's been good so far. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're entirely self-taught, right? For the most part?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, so no schooling, like you just watch some tutorials on YouTube at all?
Yeah. I
or-
watched a lot of Flern, with Aaron Nace. He's great. Funny guy. Taught myself Photoshop in terms of like actual photographic skills, composition. That's all self-taught. I didn't really watch too many videos on that. But in terms of Photoshop and editing, tons of tutorials.
Yeah. Who do you watch in terms of like tutorials and stuff?
I would say like Peter McKinnon. Not so much now because he started going into vlogs a little bit more, and it doesn't interest me as much. But when he did tutorials, I watched him a lot. And Aaron Nace with Flern, he was really big too because he's very informative.
So then with photography, then what was your first paid gig?
Yeah, so my first paid gig, I think, if I remember this correctly, it was after I'd gone through my school year. It was summertime again. I was living back home in London. And this nice Polish family asked me to take photos at their son's baptism and the party afterwards. So I did that. It's a funny story actually because I'm not very religious, so I don't go to church on Sundays. I don't really know how it works. I've never really been to church too much. So anyways, they invited me and they said, well, why don't you come a little bit early and take some photos and whatever else. And I said, sure, it was my first gig. So I was excited and ready to go. So I went to the church and it was mass, and they said, well, yeah, just take some photos during mass and whatever else. And again, they were a Polish family. They were part of the Polish community. So this was a very Polish church. They didn't speak any English. So I'm sitting in the pews listening to the priest talk about whatever it is that he's talking about in Polish, not knowing what's going on. And every once in a while, I'd turn around and take a few pictures of the kids or whatever else. And I kind of caught him eyeing me, but I didn't think anything of it. Anyways, so he finishes his service, and he walks down the stage directly up to me and says something in Polish, and I was just like, I'm sorry, I don't speak Polish. And he gives me the biggest eye roll I've ever had in my life, and then says, no pictures. And I was like, shit. Oh, sorry. I don't know if I'm allowed to.
You're totally good this way,
cool.
man. Yeah, no worries.
Yeah. I was just like freaking out, like in my head. I was just like, oh man, like I can't get kicked out of this church right now. Like I'm supposed to be here to get paid, But it was a little worrisome. First paid gig, got yelled at by a Polish priest. But yeah, that was my first one ever. Yeah, I think, if I remember correctly.
That's crazy. So that was that shortly after you'd started photography?
Yeah, that was probably like maybe 6 months after I started. Yeah, I mean, my Instagram is more geared towards the lifestyle type of photos, portrait work and stuff like that. But this was more of an event. So events are really good for money. There's, you got weddings, baptisms. There's so many different things, birthday parties, right? So you need to know how to be able to market yourself to like different areas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that gig must stand out quite a bit just for multiple reasons. Do you have any other gigs that really stick out to you?
Well, I would say like I did work for Lyft recently. That stood out to me because it was my first real like commercial job with a big company. I've done a couple other smaller shoots, but they're just for smaller individual clients. This was my first one for like I said, a corporation. So that stands out. Also, it's the most recent. You can actually see it on my Instagram. It's the second photo on my Instagram feed right now, or a series of photos. But that's kind of the goal, right? Is the reason why I took my Instagram the way that I did is because I want to be able to work for brands. I want to be able to kind of emanate this lifestyle. And we can get into a little bit later. It's not an everyday thing. Like people always say, their life seems so great because of what you see on social media. I post once a week. I'm not doing this stuff every day, I'm in school, like 9 to 5 working, whatever else. Right. So, but yeah, that's the reason why I wanted to push my Instagram towards a lifestyle type Instagram, is to be able to appeal to brands better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you talked about earlier, you talked about seasonal work and working with weddings and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It was this summer you got on with like a wedding photography company, right?
Yeah. Union 11, just on Bank Street. I'm not their primary photographer. They have 6 primary photographers right now. But I am editing all the photos and I'm secondary shooting at the weddings as well. It's been really great. It's a lot of work. Basically 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, sitting in the studio just editing. I think I've gone through probably 300,000 photos this summer.
That's wild.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So when you got that job, do they supply you with gear, or do you have to bring your own?
Yeah, they supply, just because they want to keep it as consistent as possible. You know, if they have a primary photographer that's going to a wedding and they're taking a bunch of Canon cameras, they don't want me showing up with my Sony gear, right? Because there's color balances and whatever else that change between the camera brands, and they just want to keep it as consistent as possible so that it's easier for me to edit.
Yeah, so is that like a real life example that you shoot Canon but you shoot Sony? So how is it kind of going from one brand to the other?
It's weird at first. I started on Canon, so I'm kind of used to it. I haven't done too much Canon shooting with Union 11. I do more Nikon shooting with Union 11. And that was super weird because I've never shot Nikon in my life, and I kind of hate it, to be honest. The other thing too is that I have a mirrorless camera. My Sony is mirrorless, and all the Union 11 cameras are not. So it's a little bit of a change, but you know, you take photos at 1-2 weddings and then you're used to it again, you know. It's like riding a bike pretty much. Just hop back on.
That's fair.
Yeah.
And so kind of looping back to your Instagram, you were talking about being more lifestyle.
Yeah.
So your first pick was fall 2016.
Yes.
And so that's kind of late for Instagram. So did you have like an Instagram before this one, or did you like clear your Instagram and start fresh?
Yeah, I had a personal account. I just used it, you know, I had maybe 200 followers from high school. And I don't even know what I would post. I would post, you know, really bad photos from my phone at the time, like an iPhone 5, of like, I don't know, my Arizona iced tea in my hand or something, like just awful. No, like they're not bad, but they're not photos. You know what I mean? I'd throw like a crappy Instagram filter on it. So when I started photography, I just thought to myself, you know, I already have 200 followers. They're my friends, my family, like, you know, people I know. That I think would support me anyways with photography. So I just cleared my Instagram, took all the photos of myself off, all the bad Instagram filters of my Arizona iced tea off, and just started fresh.
Yeah, that leads me kind of into the question I was going to ask, because your first pick has like 148 likes. So I was going to ask how you pulled off 148 with like your first post, but I guess if you had that pre-existing audience, that's kind of where it came from.
Yeah, and before I started posting photography, I didn't post much to Instagram. It was just like a once in a while thing, and I would maybe get, 20 likes or something like that. But when I decided that photography is kind of what I wanted to do, I actually started posting a lot more on my Instagram. Even though I didn't have photography photos to post, I would post photos of myself. I just post a lot of selfies. I kind of reached down, tried to pull out, a little bit more confidence and post myself online, which I wasn't used to. And that's kind of how I got to that, first photo at 140, is because when I came to Carleton, I was posting regular photos of myself for like what I was doing and whatever else. So I grew it a little bit before I started posting photography, just a bit.
Yeah, that's fair. And this will kind of fast forward to today. You're past 11,000 followers now. Yeah. So kind of just what would you say is the way you grew? Like, how did you grow your Instagram?
Well, the photography community is pretty tight knit. A lot of people know a lot of other people. So I think that, engaging in the community and talking to people is really, really important. And I think that's true for any industry. Like, every business is about making connections. And I think that the more connections that you make, the more successful your business will be. So I would try to find as many photographers as I could that I liked their work. And I would follow them. I would send them messages. I would make sure to comment on all their stuff. It was a grind, right? Like, Instagram has changed. Back in 2012 when it first started, it was really easy to grow because nobody was doing anything with it. It was like this new platform where people would post selfies. And I know tons of photographers that started back in 2012 where they have, hundreds of thousands of followers now, just because it was so easy to grow. They grew, to 10K in 8 months. But nowadays it's a little bit harder. So you really need to put in the time and the effort. You need to be commenting on posts. You need to be liking. You need to be sending messages, replying to stories even, like just making those connections any way you can. So when I first started, I linked up, there was a Facebook group for school and there was another photographer in it. And I linked up with him, and he took me on my first photo shoot ever. And that's probably the first photo on my Instagram. I think it's a guy sitting on a red BMW, and there's some greenery behind him. He's wearing like a black sweater or something like that, I think, if I remember correctly. If not, I deleted it and reposted it somewhere else. But that was the first photo I really ever took. And after I linked up with the other photographer, again, connections, that's kind of what pushed me to like do this as much as I could.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So did you ever do any, like, when you kind of grew up before photography, was there like a follow play, or was there like going through hashtags?
Yeah, there's a little bit of both. I mean, I think you mentioned earlier, Casey Neistat said that your first 10,000 is the hardest. I think that your first 1,000 is the hardest. And then it goes to 10,000. But I think I did a little bit of the follow unfollow thing up until about 1,000, or maybe a little bit over that, because it's effective, but it's not the greatest for your branding. It kind of sucks, and I'll admit it. Like it's kind of shitty, but it is effective. And in today's Instagram arena, you almost kind of need to. And I think that's why there's such a big market for it, is because it is so effective. It works. Especially with people selling bots or like whatever, they follow, unfollow for you. Huge industry for it. But other than that, yeah, I was going through hashtags. It was going through the tagged posts of feature pages, because a lot of younger photographers would tag the feature page in their photos, and you could just scroll through and whatever else. So it was everything, man. I mean, I did whatever I could. I spent so much time on my phone just trying to grow it, because I looked at it as an investment, right? Put the time in, and hopefully it'll pay off. Yeah,
you talked about featured pages. Have you ever been featured by other pages?
Yeah, I've been featured on a couple pages. My goal when I post, I use feature hashtags. I use hashtags of feature pages and tag them in my post, but I don't do it to try to get featured. I find that they don't really do anything for you. Like, it's kind of cool. Okay, cool. Like, somebody liked my photo enough that they posted it on their page. Cool. But they don't really get you very many followers. They don't give you anything, It's more just for them. So I got featured by a couple when I first started. I haven't been featured in a while, I don't think. But I don't try to get featured.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's like that misconception where you land on a big page like that features photos, and they credit you for that you're just gonna get like hundreds, thousands of followers, and it doesn't. It
doesn't happen. Yeah. I know a photographer from Toronto, and he took a photo of Niagara Falls, and it got featured on several feature pages with like millions of followers. And he said he maybe gained like 120 followers.
Yeah, which is
nuts. And yeah, it's nothing. Like, this page has 4 million people following it, and you gained 100 followers when they posted your photo. Like, it doesn't matter,
Because like, how many people realistically, like, even just for yourself, when you're scrolling through Instagram, do you click on a picture that like see a picture you like, and then you expand the caption to see the photographer and like go in and follow him? Like,
yeah, I think I do it more than other people, just because it's my area. I like knowing, and I like finding new photographers and seeing their work. So if I see on a feature page is a photo that I really like, I'll check it out. I'll check out the photographer. If I really, really like them, I'll give them a follow. But I think for most people, they find these feature pages and they're like, oh, cool, photography, and they follow it, and then that's it,
Yeah. No, for the most part. And then another thing you talked about was creating connections. Mm-hmm. So one thing I've noticed with your Instagram is you're not in a lot of your pictures, obviously, because you're taking the pictures, but you try to, I like from an outside perspective looking in, it's like you try to still make that connection with your audience through your captions, and they're a little bit longer and sometimes they're a little bit more personal.
Yeah. I did try when I first started out, I tried doing longer captions, because I felt as though it would help that connection between me and my audience. Since I've gotten a little bit bigger and I've been posting more often, I've been cutting them down a little bit, just because I think that the picture should be able to speak for itself. Instead, what I do is I try to engage with people in the comments, and I try to engage with people like in my stories. I've kind of been slacking on posting stories a little bit, but I try to show my face on stories, talk to people, whatever else. Kind of like, it's almost like vlogging, but on Instagram, just a little bit. but that's one way to create connection, I guess, with especially with like not showing my face very often. Every once in a while, I post a photo of myself. It's good because, you know, people who really care about my photography, they like photos of me as well. And the people who don't really care about my photography, they see a photo of me and they hit unfollow, which is good for me because I don't really want ghost followers. I think there's a really big importance on engagement and your percentage of engagement per your following. And I think cutting out ghost followers is really important as well. I know a couple of photographers that'll post up selfies to cut the slack, you know, and I think it's smart. So every once in a while, I'll post a photo of myself.
In terms of with the posting the selfies and getting the true fans, it's almost along the lines of Kevin Kelly's 1,000 true fans.
I saw that.
mindset.
Yeah, I saw that video, and I thought it was a very smart video. And if you can manage to get 1,000 true fans, I think that you can make a living off of 1,000 true fans and not have to do anything else. I've seen at least other photographers, when I see them pushing their products, I think to myself, if 1,000 people bought this, they would not need to work for the rest of the year, right? So I saw that video where he talks about 1,000 true fans, and it really spoke to me. And that's kind of why I think that cutting them out is really important as well. Yeah.
Yeah. But so in terms of just having followers, you recently passed 10K.
Mm-hmm.
Was that like a milestone? Were you stoked when that happened? I know you posted like celebratory picture on your Instagram. Like, how did it feel to finally pass that?
Yeah, it was good. You know, there's been a couple times during that kind of push where, it slowed down a lot. I struggled to beat 5K. I was at like 4,500 for months, and it was just so hard to get over that. And there was one more. I think it was maybe 7 or 8. It slows down every once in a while. So to finally beat 10K, I mean, I was pretty pumped because, I mean, I don't know if you like. I think you do probably know this, but you can do the swipe up feature after you hit 10K. That's kind of like Instagram's cutoff point. You hit 10K and you get this feature. And I think that's really important to have as well, because it puts products and in people's hands like so fast, right? You can say like, oh, click the link in my bio, but they have to click your profile, click the link. Like it's 2 steps instead of 1, you know? If you can just swipe up, it's better.
I hear you. Like with the podcast and the Instagram there, it's like I have like 120 followers. So
Yeah.
I'm still the link in bio, because there's no other way to get people off the platform.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that just gives you another, like you said, easier step to get people to off the platform to your channels. And then, so in terms of trying to get past the 5K and then to the 10K, is there one piece of content that really popped for you and you went, oh shit, like this one's really going off? Or
yeah, there is one. I was shooting with these 2 girls, Sarah and Cameron, and I got them to hold like a blue smoke bomb, and I photoshopped the smoke to look like a heart. And keep in mind, this is when like I was not good at Photoshop. I was pretty new still, like I was pretty green, and it's an awful photo. I hate it. When I look at it, I just think to myself, what was I thinking? But that was the first photo for me that kind of like went viral. I think I had maybe 3,000 followers at the time, and I got close to 2,000 likes. So I was like, whoa, this is crazy. But then, you know, next week came around and nobody cared, you know? So it was just like, oh, everybody liked that photo. I hate it. Cool. That's it. You know, it wasn't, I don't think there's one piece for me anyways at this point that really pushed my following up. I think that what's more important is finding a style. You have to find a niche, and then you have to find a niche within that niche. So for instance, you know, if you want to do photography, that's your niche. You make your entire Instagram about photography, but then you need to pick what type of photography. Do you want to post wedding photos? Do you want to post portraits? Do you want to do lifestyle? Do you want to do landscape? And that's kind of your niche within the niche. And I think you need to stick to that like 100%. And then on top of that, you need a style. So once I picked portraits and lifestyle. I struggled for a really long time to find my style. It's only recently that I was like, you know what? Let's just do sunshine, you know, happiness, smiles, whatever else. And that's kind of what I've been going towards. And I I think my Instagram has been growing pretty quickly just because I've been able to kind of narrow down my style a little bit.
That was actually the next question I had, was what style do you have, and like how important is that to growing your Instagram? Yeah. So is there any photographers that you look at that inspire you, or that you kind of follow along that you try to emulate?
Oh, tons. Yeah. I don't know if I try to emulate anybody. I've tried. When I first started, I definitely tried to emulate like everybody that I could. That's kind of stopped because I realized I don't do it as well, which is fine. But I think it's more, I want to be known less for like, oh yeah, he kind of looks like that photographer. I want to be known for like, oh yeah, that's Will. He has his own style. He does this, right? So I've just been posting my own style and trying to make it as best I can. I would say that I know that you do have this name written down in your notes, but when I first started, Brandon Woelfer was a pretty big inspiration to me. He has, I don't know, like 2.5 mil now or something like that. It's huge. So when I was first starting out, I definitely tried to emulate some of his work. I definitely have tried to emulate a little bit of Samuel Elkins. I think he's a brilliant photographer. But again, both of those photographers, they had their own style, and now they're known for it. And now everybody copies them. I don't want to be one of the guys that copies other photographers. I want to be the guy that people copy. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That makes sense, though, because you'll never be able to do it as well as the person that started it.
Yeah.
But I think, to the point of trying to copy people and emulate people is it helps you learn.
Totally. Yeah.
So.
It does. It helps you learn, but I think that, again, there needs to be a clear line where it's not about learning and it's about creating your own. Because, yeah, there comes a point where once you know how to use Lightroom, once you know how to use Photoshop, emulating other people's styles, it's just emulating other people's styles. And I've been doing this for several years now, so I think I know how to use Photoshop and Lightroom pretty well. So I've kind of stopped trying to emulate, and I just kind of do my own thing now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you talked like you only recently just found that style, just kind of like because I think with like, especially beginner photographers, they're important thing for their Instagrams. They need to have their style and they're like aesthetic off the bat, but like you kind of played around with it, right? So
yeah, totally. Yeah. I went through so many different styles and phases and different types of photos. I would post like a blue and pink Brandon Woelfer photo one moment, and then, this like dark, edgy something the next moment. And I think it kind of hurts your growth a little bit because people don't really know what to expect from you. And I think consistency is a really big thing. On Instagram, on YouTube, any social media platform, if you can be consistent, you'll grow quickly. Yeah, I think emulating is good, but you need to find your own style. And even now, just thinking about it, I mean, I have a trip to Iceland coming up in October, and I don't think there's any way I'm going to be able to get, sunset, sunny photos coming in, whatever else. So I'm going to have to change up my style a little bit, but as long as you can make it consistent for an extended period of time, it should work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That Iceland trip's going to be sick.
Yeah.
So like when you said October?
October, yeah.
And how long are you going for?
Just a week.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you going with the intention to take pictures, or just like a vacation, you'll bring the camera?
With the intention to take pictures. I don't have the intention to make money off of those photos. But we're definitely going, me and another photographer that I met in school. We wanted to plan like a photo trip. So me and a couple of friends and him are going. We're renting a car and seeing the southern and eastern side of the island. So should be good. I'm pretty pumped.
Yeah, you've done a couple other trips too, right? It was BC, you said?
Yeah.
I think there was another one.
Vancouver and Cuba. Yeah.
Nice.
Cuba was just a vacation with my family though. So I just brought the camera along.
Yeah, but Vancouver and BC was a trip to get pictures?
It was half and half. My sister lives out there. So I hadn't seen her, I don't know, in about a year. So I decided to go out, visit her, take some photos, whatever else. So it was half and half. She works during the day. So she would give me her car, I'd drop her off at work, and I'd get out of there,
Yeah. How awesome was taking pictures out there? There's just so much.
Oh, it was beautiful. Yeah. It was really cool because one of my friends was also there just coincidentally. And she just said, hey, I saw you're in Vancouver, like, let's meet up. So I met up with her and I just said, we had a whole day to ourselves. Like we had nothing to do. So I was like, oh, you want to go for a helicopter ride? She's like, sure. So we just flew. We went out to Pitt Meadows, I think it's called, and there's an airport out there, and we just jumped in a helicopter and took a little ride. Went up to the mountains, and they let us off, and yeah, it was awesome, man. Like
That's unreal.
yeah, Vancouver's beautiful.
Did you ever get like the classic legs out of the helicopter picture?
I didn't get the legs out of the helicopter. I got my feet inside. I picked up a new lens for it, so it was really, really wide. It was also the middle of winter, so they were kind of, let's not take the doors off the helicopter. It's a little too cold. But it was awesome nonetheless. Like I got awesome photos and would definitely do it again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's sick. Are you doing any like helicopter rides in Iceland?
No helicopter rides in Iceland. I think we have enough to do without it, and we have enough for good content. I mean, there's beautiful waterfalls there, the Black Sand Beach, so much, right? I don't think it's really necessary. Also expensive.
Yeah, true. Iceland, from what I hear, is like pretty expensive.
So expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's going to be a sick trip nonetheless.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm pumped. Yeah.
Yeah, I bet. I just want to circle back to Brandon.
Yeah, no worries.
Brandon Woelfer. So you said you were emulating him for a while, and I also noticed he follows you on Instagram.
He does. Yeah.
So like, how did he just like see you like emulating his stuff and was like, oh, that's sick, like I'll follow, or how did that happen?
Yeah, it was kind of weird. So he hit, I think it was like 1 million. I started following him when he had 300,000 followers, and he's just like blown up, even more so. And I had taken a couple of photos in his style, and he'd liked them every now and then. But then he hit 1 million followers, and he said he was at, I think it was like 900. He was following 987 people. So he said, okay, I'm going to follow 13 people. And I don't know who I'm going to pick yet. And so I just went through his entire feed and like just liked everything. I liked so many of his photos that I got blocked from liking for like 3 days. And then I just commented on his most recent. I was like, hey man, I just got blocked from liking your stuff. If I could keep going, I would, but I just wanted to let you know. And and then he just gave me a follow. I was like, okay, sweet.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was kind of weird. It wasn't because I was emulating his style, but every once in a while he tosses me a like, and it's cool.
Yeah, it's like he still like likes your stuff every once in a while.
Once in a while. It's not very often. I mean, I think a guy like that, he has too much going on to scroll through Instagram too often. I think he just posts up, comments a couple times, and does his thing, Yeah.
Did you ever message him, and like did he ever message you back or anything when he followed you, or?
Yeah, I think I've messaged him a couple of times. Not anything particularly interesting, just about his book that came out a little while back, and I was just asking questions about it, and he answered. Yeah.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, well, I mean, it is his business that I was asking about, so it makes sense that he would answer. But yeah, he seems like a great guy. I'd love to work with him one day. Brandon Woelfer, what's up?
Yeah.
But yeah.
So is he like the number one guy you want to work with? Or is there other people up there? Like who are some?
There's definitely other people. Brandon Woelfer would be really cool to work with just because he's so unique in his style. There's definitely other photographers that I want to work with. I think Zach Alia would be the biggest one. I've been following him for a while now, and I just think his work is absolutely stunning. And he has cool lifestyle photos as well. It's always like puppies in Turks and Caicos and whatever else. So I was like, cool, man. Like, take me on one of those trips. Maybe one day. There's a couple models that I would want to work with too. But that just comes with time. Time and location, I find. There's not really a big industry in Ottawa for modeling or photography for that matter. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think another thing with Brandon Woelfer too is the props that he uses. It's
Totally.
crazy. Like
Yeah.
he's just the way he uses them and the way he edits with his props, it's just wild.
Mm-hmm.
But I do want to talk about the photography scene in Ottawa.
Sure.
Because you recently partnered with a couple other local photographers. I think it was, one was Joey Kidney with his
Joey Kidney.
Taken by Joey page.
Yeah.
The.Architxct.
Yep.
And then
Fitch.
The TheRealKerbens, I think,
Kerbens.
is the guy.
Yeah.
And that's the guy from, I'm assuming, from your school that you went on your first photo shoot
It
with,
is.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How'd you know that?
I saw it somewhere.
Did you?
It was when I was researching you. I think it might have been with that first pic you posted.
Right. Read a caption or something, or
And then you reposted it.
Mhm.
And I think
Okay,
something
yeah.
along the lines, like you mentioned that he was with your first shoot, and this picture's from your first shoot, and you went with
right.
this guy.
Yeah.
So you guys did a contest for Sony RX100.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like right as you hit your 10K. It was kind of your 10K giveaway. How did it come about? I know you met the Kerbens through school. How did you meet Fitch and Joey, and how did that whole contest come together?
Yeah, so Fitch and Kerbens are pretty good friends. I've met Fitch a couple of times. He's asked me to work on a couple projects for him, just with video and whatever else. I guess I have done a little bit of video. I don't see it very often, but I just film and hand them the cards, and they do whatever they want with it. So I've met Fitch a couple of times and worked with him a little bit, and he's worked with Joey Kidney, taking photos for him and producing content for him. So I followed Joey. I don't know. Joey must have heard of me. He followed me on his photography page. And I knew who he was because of Fitch. So I followed him back, and I'd just been talking to him, a little bit before, and just said, hey man, like we should link up. Like I'll take some photos for you, whatever else. And he said, sure. And then I was coming up on 10K, and I wanted to do the giveaway, and I was just kind of thinking about like who would be good to team up with. I wanted somebody who was local. I wanted other photographers because they were like the same niche, right? I wanted other portrait photographers, and I wanted people who had a similar number of followers to me. I don't think anybody with 10,000 or 100,000 followers would care about a 10,000 giveaway. But Joey Kidney, I just messaged him. Fitch was on board, Kerbens was on board, and it fell together really nicely.
Yeah. So did you guys split the camera, or did you just buy the camera yourself? How did that work?
I bought the camera myself for this one. Just gave it a test. Joey, I think, really hooked us up with the number of people. He has a pretty loyal YouTube following, I think. So I bought the camera. And I just said, hey, like I'm trying to do this giveaway. I'd want you guys to join in. I have this camera, and they said, sure. Yeah. I wanted it to be as easy as possible, so I didn't want it to be like, hey, I need $100 for this camera from each one of them, because then it just leaves it open for people to say I'm out, and I didn't want that. I wanted to post this photo when I hit 10K, and I just wanted it to be smooth, and it was just easier for me to buy the camera.
Yeah, that's a pretty big investment. Like an RX100 is not a cheap camera, right? Like
well, they have, and this is where it is, they have new models. So they have like a Mark IV out now.
6.
Is it 6?
Yeah.
It's 6, eh?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So that's like, I think it's like 1,500 or something like
expensive.
that. Yeah. I did not buy the 6.
Yeah.
I bought the first one.
Yeah.
I just wanted something to be able to give to somebody who was thinking about starting photography. You don't need an RX100 Mark VI to start photography. You don't need it. So I just bought the Mark I, and it was like 500 or something like that.
But
550.
still, though,
yeah,
that's still a solid investment for a giveaway that you paid entirely for yourself. Yeah. But I mean, the RX100 is still a solid little camera. Like it's great. It's versatile too. It's a little point shoot, but you can. It's good for photos. I don't know 100% the specs of the Mark I, but like they have an unreal bokeh.
Yeah. They have a 35 millimeter 1.8 lens on it or something, I think. So it's really good for photos. Video, it's good for vlogging, but it's not good for cinematic stuff, but that's fine.
I think they're kind of like positioning it as like the perfect vlogging camera kind of now is kind of their position with it.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And then you did it for your 1K and for your 10K, and I know it real well because like I checked your page because the contest was follow everyone and like the picture and tag 3 friends, I think 2 or 3
2
friends.
Yeah. Follow and tag. Yeah.
Yeah. And then it was, so I checked your page and you had the 10K because it's your 10K giveaway. And then I checked back like probably like not even a week later, and you were almost at 11K, and then you hit 11K like probably within 10 days you surpassed.
Yeah, it actually, we surpassed 11K within probably 36 hours. And then a couple of them dropped off and whatever else. So
that's wild.
I was sitting at 10.9 for the week, just because a couple of them did drop off. But yeah, it was pretty crazy. It's it's good to grow followers with a giveaway, but at the same time, I didn't just do it for followers. I want to create something. I want to create a platform. I want to do YouTube. I want to do Instagram. I want to do all these different things. So the people that are here right now, 10,000 followers, it's still pretty modest. Most people I know down in the States have 70, 80, 100,000. And so 10K is pretty modest. I just want to be able to give to my audience a little bit as well, because I think that's really important. I think that they're giving me so much. I wouldn't have this opportunity here. You said that your threshold is kind of the 10K mark.
Around there, yeah.
Yeah, so I wouldn't have this opportunity here without the people that follow me. So I just like being able to give back to them sometimes. Yeah.
That's awesome though. It's kind of like you gotta take care of your community.
Exactly.
Which is like, even that's a theme I've kind of seen through these couple first podcasts that I've done, especially the last one was Josh Reyes. Like with his company that he has, they said the biggest thing for them was building a community first and not just trying to grow as big as you can. Like focus on the people that are there and like really take care of your community.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I mean, if we take the 1,000 fan rule, it's better to have 1,000 people that interact with you every day and buy your stuff than it is to have 10,000 people that, just follow you because, right? So I think it's really good to give back. Along with the camera, I did have like a bunch of presets on my website for photo editing. I gave away a bunch of those too. I think I had like 50 downloads or something, but that was just like a little bit extra. I just thought to myself, again, it's not just about growing the following. It's about giving back. And I don't want to give back to just one person. So I thought, the camera I can only give to one person. So how can I kind of give something else to some other people?
No, I think it's a good mindset to have. And I think that'll definitely like help you grow moving forward.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, no worries, man. But one other thing too, you talk with just having the community and having an engaged community, your engagement rate is nuts.
Yeah, 13%, I think.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, I think average engagement is 3, and above that to 5, you're considered an influencer within your community. So having a 13% engagement rate is just wild. So which also points to like being like caring about your community is clearly paying off. Yeah. So like, do you have anything that like, other than of course like just engaging and stuff, that's helped you get a 13% engagement rate?
Yeah, consistency for sure. Because how Instagram's algorithm works is that if people don't like your stuff, they don't see your stuff. So Instagram tries to show people things that they think they'll like. So if you can consistently get, one person to like 3 of your photos, it means they'll probably see your 4th one. And then they'll probably like it too because they like your work. So the other thing that giveaways are really good for is getting people to engage so that they see your photos more. I think that consistency posting, I post every like either Monday or Tuesday. Doesn't really matter. I just pick one of the days and post on it. But I think having that consistency really helps, and having people consistently like and comment and everything is definitely beneficial, because there's the more people like and comment, the more they see your stuff. And there's also that the more your post gains engagement within like the first half hour, the more likely it is to show up on the explore page, which is also huge. I don't know how many hours people spend, like the average person spends on explore. I spend so much time on explore.
Really?
Yeah, so much.
Why?
There's a lot of memes.
Yeah.
And I like them. Yeah, there's cool photos. I can, if you showed me a photo from some of the photographers I follow, I could maybe pick some of them out. I could say like, oh, that's Zach's photo, that's Brandon Woelfer's photo, that's Bleeb's photo, that's, Ashley in Wonderland. Like, I know their style, so it's kind of nice to just go and explore some different styles of photography as well. Yeah.
That's fair.
Mm-hmm.
Just back to the Monday, Tuesday. Yeah. Is there a reason? I know you said it doesn't really matter which day, but is there a reason you focus on those 2 days?
I think it just kind of happened. I had some photos to post every Monday. I would work full time during the week. So the weekend I would have enough time to go out, shoot some new content, edit it, whatever else. And then I'll have something new for Monday. Instagram tells me that my following is most active on Mondays. It's probably because I only post on Mondays. It just kind of became a thing and I've stuck with it. Yeah, that's the best answer I can give to why Monday or Tuesday it just kind of happened.
Is there a specific time you're looking at that when you post?
Between noon and 3.
Noon and 3.
Yeah.
See, that's always the time where I figured like people are working and they're doing shit so they can't check. But I've noticed even with my own and like with some of my stuff from work that's a really good time. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if it's that point in the day where people get bored and they start checking everything. But
yeah, it could be. I think the other thing too is that my following comes a lot from the States as well. And you have to think about, how many people are watching you from Vancouver, how many people are watching you from, Colorado, how many people are watching you from California. Because at noon, they're looking at 9 a.m. or something like that. So they're probably just waking up and they're probably checking their phones, going on Instagram and whatnot. So I think, I don't think there's really a good time to post. I think like you need to think about where your following is the most and then just post accordingly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, times is something I never really think of. Like I do a little bit because I lived in Manitoba for a while. So there's like a 1 hour, so it's not a big deal. But like just to your point of people living like on the West
Other
Coast
coast.
or whatever.
Yeah.
One of the guys I had on here, Mathieu, lived in Australia. So half his following is from Australia and here. So it's just like, I don't know how you figure that out, but like to your point, it makes a lot of sense to kind of really think about where
your following is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's crazy. Back to the collaborating with people. Sorry. So you collaborate with the three guys locally. Who else have you collaborated with on picture, like with like other photographers and stuff?
Other photographers. Not too many other photographers. I mean, anybody that's on my Instagram that I post is usually like a collab. If I message somebody, I don't expect them to pay. This is my job, so I do try to make money off of it. But if I message somebody else and I say, hey, do you want to shoot? Obviously, I'm not going to, charge you for it.
Yeah.
Because it's just for my Instagram and you get some really dope Instagram photos out of it. So it's a win-win. But I will give a little bit away. I am collaborating with this artist from the States, not like a photographer or a musician, like a painter artist.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. And she's really dope. I found her art not too long ago and I just fell in love with it. And I messaged her. So we're doing a shoot where I'm going to take some photos and then she's going to draw on the photos and kind of do like a little bit of a collaboration that way.
That's going to be sick.
Yeah.
Do you want to keep like who it is private for now until you do it?
For now, yeah.
No, I respect that. I get that.
Yeah. Because it's still in the works. I don't want to say anything just yet, but until it's actually done.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'll be good.
Yeah.
It'll be good.
It sounds like that'll be pretty sweet.
Mm-hmm. I'm actually going to shoot it, going back to work after this, and then going to shoot the photos this evening.
But so in terms of working with any models and stuff, so you said you just pretty much DM people to get your models?
Yeah, DM people. There's a little bit that factors into it. Obviously, I look at their style, their clothing choice, their hair, their facial structure, everything like that. Because I am trying to put together a brand and I am trying to put together a style of photography. So I want everything to kind of be consistent. So I look at those things and I also look at following. It doesn't factor in huge, but it's nice if I'm collaborating with models that have, 5,000-6,000 followers at least, just because it helps me get my photography out there a little bit more. Again, that's probably the last thing I think of. Like if I want to shoot with you and you have 200 followers, I don't care, but it is definitely nice to have that like extra little boost in the marketing a little,
Yeah. I think the biggest that I've seen, the model you've shot with, I think her name was Danny Doucette.
Yes, Danny.
Yeah. How did that? She has like, I think over 20,000 now.
Yeah. She had about 14 when I shot with her. That was in Toronto. She's awesome. She's really cool. I just DM'd her. I took a trip to Toronto to meet up with that photographer that I mentioned earlier that was featured on for the Niagara Falls photos.
Yep.
On like the millions of feature follower pages or whatever. I went to his apartment, never met him before. So I guess that's kind of a collaboration a little bit. Legion Studios, if you guys want to check him out, but collaborated with him. He let me stay at his place. And I just messaged Danny and I said, hey, I'm going to be in the city. Like, I'd love to shoot with you. Yeah. And then she's like, yep. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I know like she recently did something with Kino Body, which is like it's a pretty big fitness brand. So I saw it because I kind of creeped her a little bit when I saw.
Right.
But that's pretty sweet. So basically the big way you get your models is just all through DM.
DM.
Yeah. Do you know most of them beforehand or is it pretty much just cold DM? Like, hey, I'm a photographer.
Yeah. Mostly cold DM. I mean, there's a couple on there that are like friends from high school and whatnot. I don't know if you know Lauren Wong. If you saw her.
Oh, I probably saw her, but
she was a girl from high school that I knew, but most of them are just cold calls. Yeah. I haven't gone through an agency. They usually try to charge you and no.
Yeah. I hear ya.
So it's usually through DM. Danny works for Spot 6 Management, I think, out in Toronto. So she's signed to a modeling agency, but yeah, she's dope. Anybody else, I just DM. My most recent photo was shot with Sarah St. Pierre. She was my server at Local. And I, just stopped her and I said, hey, do you ever do any modeling? Yeah, I'm a portrait photographer. I'd love to take some photos of you. Of course, it can come off a little bit creepy. Yeah. So I always make sure to have my Instagram ready because I want to show people, I don't really do nude photography at all. I don't want to. So I make sure I always have my Instagram ready just to kind of show people like, it's not what you think. Like, it's not creepy, But yeah, that was awesome. We had a really fun shoot. She's great. And yeah, just cold calls, really. Walking up to people.
I totally hear you with that, talking to people though, and be like, it's not creepy. Like, because when I message people here, they're like, great, where do we record? And I'm like, in my apartment. Right? Yeah. So some people are like, oh. And they're like, well, over here's like, I've done it before. Like, it's like, this is everything I do. Like, don't worry. But I totally hear what you're saying. Yeah. Where do you land on like with giving credit with your models? So I'm assuming they post your stuff on their feeds too, right?
Yeah. So in Canada, and this is the thing about being a photographer, is that it's so much more than just photography. You need to know business, you need to know law, everything. Excuse me. Basically in Canada, the photographer, when he or she takes a photo, they own the copyright to it by default, unless they are commissioned to take that photo. So unless I'm being paid, I own the copyright. You can't sell that photo. You can't market anything with that photo. I can, you can't. So basically with credit, I like to give my models credit because, I just think it's the good thing to do. When people post my photos, I expect them to put my name in the bio or in the caption, just because, little camera emoji in my name. Doesn't always happen. Sometimes they tag me in the photo, but again, it's one of those things where, like I mentioned, I try to find people with followings, like 5,000, 6,000. But again, it's the last thing I think about. So if they just tag me in the photo or they don't like put it in the caption, I don't really care. I don't say anything. I don't care. Like it doesn't matter to me. I just want to be able to appeal to my audience.
And to the point we were talking about earlier, like, yes, it's obviously important to give credit. Yeah. Like, I totally understand that. Yeah. But it's not like you're getting half their following over to your pages. Like,
exactly.
So, I mean, it's important. I think it is the right thing to do to give credit. And so are you on the side of, if you're to credit one way, would you go tagging in the photo or in the comment?
I would probably say in the caption.
Really?
Yeah. I would say like that's probably the most effective. Just because I think, a random tag in the photo, people will just be like, who the hell is Will Carey OVO? They might click it, they might not, but if it says picture credit and then Will Carey OVO, they know. Yeah. So I would prefer that. And I think I've started doing that with my models too. I used to only tag them in the photo. But I've started putting model and then their username in the caption as well, just because I think it's better. I want to give them credit. They work hard. It's hard being on camera. It's hard to be comfortable on camera, and they make it look really easy. And I want to give them credit for it because they do work hard.
Yeah. And then in terms of working hard, I wanted to bring this up. Tough asks for your models. There's a couple pictures on there. One, there's like a girl has like paint on her face. Right. And the one I really want to bring up is it looks like someone's like in dirt and there's dirt all over. How do you bring that up?
Yeah. So the paint was pretty easy. I mean, I just, you got to paint your face for this photo and okay, it's whatever. Comes off, it was like a blacklight paint, I think, which I should do more of, to be honest. But the dirt one was interesting. I buried somebody alive for that photo. They were 100% in the ground.
Really?
Yeah. We went out to the park and we found like a little spot in the forest and we brought a shovel and I dug up a bunch of dirt and I put them in it. And that's probably one of my favorite photos just because of the amount of effort that went into it. But the person in that photo, Tasha, I've shot with her before, and it would have been a tough ask for most people, but she kind of has that punk rocker style. I think she's really into that type of stuff. So we had this rapport. We'd shot together before. And I said, listen, I have this idea. It's really weird and it's going to be really uncomfortable, but I think it'll look awesome. And she's like, okay, let's do it. No hesitation, nothing. So yeah, that's how that came about. That was an awesome photo. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, that's definitely, it's the one, like, they're all good, but that's the one where I stopped and I looked at it when I was going through Instagram and I was like, how did you pull this one off? Was the person like I wasn't even sure if they would have been completely in the ground, or if it was just like you kind of put some dirt on their face and made it look like it, or that's crazy.
Yeah, we probably buried her. I mean, her legs were poking out of the ground because I didn't want to make the hole like too long. It was a lot of work, you know. So her torso was entirely underground, her shoulders, everything. And then we just kind of made it like a multi-leveled thing. So her head was a little bit higher than her torso because I wanted her mouth to kind of stick out. And then I gave her, she had like these swimming goggles on, and I just kind of molded the dirt over her face and yeah, tried not to get it in her mouth, and a little bit got in her mouth.
Yeah.
I think she said the most uncomfortable part was the dirt getting in her ears. I totally forgot about that. I was thinking like nose and mouth, like you breathe out of those, we can't get any dirt in them. But she was saying that the dirt going into her ears, it was just like, it was gross. But yeah, she killed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like I said, it's a great pick. Was anybody walking by kind of looking like, what are you guys doing over there?
Yeah. So we kind of went off to the side. I don't really think anybody saw us. We kind of went down like this little hill and just found a spot where the dirt like wasn't covered in roots, because I didn't want to dig up roots, like it's too hard and you know, it hurts the trees. And yeah, so we just found a little spot and did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome though.
She said it was really cold, and I was like, that's really surprising. I didn't even think about that. Like, I just think, you know, you touch dirt. I think touching dirt is a lot different than being buried alive.
Yeah.
And now she's had that experience. So it was weird, but awesome photo, and she killed it. And yeah.
So in terms of still on the same path of like working with people, you touched on earlier, you worked with your first brand really recently.
Yes.
Lyft. So how did that come about? Did they reach out to you? Did you reach out to them?
Yeah. So I was actually taking some couples photos for Tasha, the girl who I buried alive. And we were thinking about where to go and where to shoot, and we didn't know how to get there. So it was kind of coincidental. I got Lyft on my phone, and how it works is brands hire marketing companies, and the marketing companies find people to shoot and people to do things and whatever else. So I got Lyft on my phone because we were going somewhere. And then that night I got an email from Amplify, a marketing company, Canadian marketing company. And they said, hey, we have a Lyft as a client. They wanted me to, it was interesting because they wanted me to go to Carleton because they knew I was a student, and they wanted me to give out like t-shirts and whatever else at this event and then post it on my Instagram story. And I emailed them back and said, hey, like, I really appreciate you reaching out. It is a little bit off brand for me though, because I don't go hand out clothes and post it on my Instagram story. Like, that's not what my Instagram is for. So I said, I feel as though I could create more impactful content for you and Lyft by doing this. And they emailed me back and they said, wow, that's awesome. Like, we love your idea. We'd love for you to take photos for us. And that's how that came about. So it was actually totally unrelated. And then, like I said, I just mentioned, I want to create more impactful content for you. I don't think my audience will respond well to, you know, me in a field house handing out clothing. So I just kind of shifted the work a little bit, and they said, sure.
So I don't need to know how much, but was it like, did they offer you like Lyft credit, or did they just pay you cash? Like, what's the exchange like with that? It's just something I'm unfamiliar with. They
offered me a dollar amount to go to this event and hand out the clothing, to which I kindly declined doing. So when we started talking about taking photos, they said, okay, listen, we don't have a budget for you to take photos, but how we can kind of skirt around that is we'll pay you the same rate that you would have been paid at the event. You can invoice us for your shooting time, your editing time, your posting time, everything like that. So it kind of like it added up to more than what I would have gotten if I'd just gone to the event, because I have to edit, I have to do everything, right? So I said, sure, cool. It definitely was not what I would have liked to get paid or what I have been making recently, but it's my first brand deal. So you just take it. You know what I mean? Like with big companies like that, there's a few. If Mercedes ever asks you to shoot for them, they say they'll pay you $100. I don't even offer portrait shoots for $100. But if Mercedes said they wanted some photos for $100, I would say, hell yeah, like, let's do this. Because it's Mercedes, you know? So, yeah, it wasn't as much as I would have charged, but first brand deal, so I thought, screw it.
You got to start somewhere, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I'm still getting paid, so it's not like I'm doing it for free.
Yeah, and one thing you talk about, though, with charging for, like, the rate and stuff was posting time, and that's something I've never actually thought about. But there is a substantial amount of time that goes into doing your post, writing your caption, hashtags, all of it.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. And that's especially on their end too. That's something that they included in the package.
Yeah, well, they basically said, you know, bill us for your work, and if they want me to post an ad, me posting and putting together the ad, that's just part of the work. So anything that's billable, anything that I do for Lyft, just bill them for it. Yeah.
I think another thing that's super impressive too, though, is the fact that you kind of pushed back. You said like it's your first brand deal, you take the money, like whatever, but you knew that it wasn't like good for your brand, the initial offer. So you like, I'm assuming you understood that there's a chance that they were going to come back and say no when you came back to them.
Yeah, totally. And I would have had to have just accepted that. I would have just said, okay, I'm sorry that we couldn't work together. There's ways to word things though that make it more appealing. I think it's less about what Lyft can do for me and more about what I can do for Lyft. So even though I'm putting in more hours than just going to this event, I'm giving them something that's more impactful, which helps their business, you know? So I think there's ways of wording things that kind of help your case a little bit. But I sent that email off thinking 100% like, I'm not getting this gig. It's over. That's it. And the next one will come along eventually. And when it does, I'll take it. But yeah, it was really good. They came back and they said, sure. So
that's awesome. Cool. But so I think because something that I think is important too is making sure it fits your brand, like you said.
Yeah, totally.
That's what you're doing.
Yeah, you need to make sure that you're not selling something that isn't you, especially with photography. Because I think if you start posting, like I said, I mentioned other photographers, they'll post selfies of themselves. Any photos that I post of myself, they're actual photos. They're not just selfies. But I know tons of photographers that will just take their iPhone, take a selfie, post it up their Instagram account to kill the ghost followers or kill the followers that don't really love their work. And I think that unless you're posting photography, you're just going to lose followers that even do care about your work. So I think it was really important. Like I said, I would have been okay not accepting Lyft's offer simply because it would have hurt my photography. And I think it's an investment. It would have hurt my Instagram page, and I think it's an investment. So you can't do things that are going to hurt your investment, you know? So
and just with the selfie that you're talking about too, just to kill the ghost followers, just I thought of something as you were saying that. It also just like messes up your aesthetic.
Totally.
Because it's like when you come to your page, like looking at the grid is something I always think about when I post too. And it's what's the grid look like? And if you have all these awesome pictures and then you just have like an iPhone selfie, like
exactly,
it's going to stick out like a sore thumb.
It's questionable for sure. Yeah. People kind of think, what the hell? But yeah. So yeah, I said to myself, I'm not accepting anything except my work and my best work. And if they don't want it, that's too bad.
Yeah. But then too, when brands come to your account, like in the future, they've seen that you've done it before and they know, they know the standard that you hold with your brand work too now and like the kind of content you produce. So it's just a good, like kind of like a starting point, I think, for working with brands.
Totally. Yeah. And that's why I was pretty pumped when they came back and said yes, because it just opens up the door of opportunity. Right. And yeah, it'll be good. Hopefully there's more to come. It also, again, about the connections thing, we talked about it earlier, but getting those connections, I talked to the president of Amplify when he was messaging me, and I think just having that connection there is really great to have in case any other deals come my way or I'm looking for work. I can say, hey, I'm going to Iceland, like hook me up with a brand, you know, and maybe he would do it. Maybe not, but maybe he would. So it's all about connections.
I'm sure they have tons of clients too, right?
Yeah,
so,
hopefully.
Yeah, and so with like the laws and stuff, does Lyft now have the access because they were paying you to use your photos and like their marketing and stuff?
Not the Instagram photos. I ended up going to that event that they were originally trying to hire me for, and I took photos at the event. So once those are edited and whatever else, I will take photos, or they will own those photos. But in terms of my Instagram photos, those are completely mine. I hold the copyrights.
Nice. Well, you touched on potentially reaching back out to Amplify. Where do you land on reaching out to other companies that like not necessarily Amplify? Like, would you ever reach out to like a local company and be like, hey, let's work something out? Or
Yeah, we tried when we were planning the trip to Iceland. We tried reaching out to several brands. We either got no's or no answers from all of them, which is fair. Like I said, 10K is pretty modest still. It's not the biggest following. So I expected it. I think that it's a numbers game. I think that you need to send out as many emails as you can and hope that you're talking to a PR rep who checks out your Instagram page and goes, holy crap, like these photos are awesome. And it's just it's just a numbers game. I think you need to send like 1,000 emails and maybe you'll get one back.
Yeah. So yeah, like a numbers game for sure.
Yeah.
I totally agree. And then another thing you talked about with the brand deal was like you got paid way less than you normally would have. Just kind of something a little along the same lines, but separate beginner photographers. And when you're just starting, not necessarily a brand deal, but where do you land on with free work when you're starting?
Yeah. So this is a pretty heated topic for me. I do get a little annoyed when I see photographers working for like less than they should. Free work has its place. It will always have its place. You need to be able to build your portfolio. You need to be able to find work, and you need to be able to show people stuff that you've done in the past. But I don't think it's necessary. So for instance, I think I've shot one wedding on my own. Any other weddings that I've done have been through Union 11. I don't own the copyrights to those photos with Union 11 because they're the employer, it's their client, which means I can't show those photos to a client of mine. I can't post them on any social media. I can't use them to market. Basically, I have to point a client in the direction of Union 11 and say, hey, I've worked for these guys, hire me. And I think that you can definitely do that. I think having a resume works just as well as having a portfolio. You don't need to do free work in order to find work. You can work for other companies that will put the work in your hands for you. But I do think it's important to be able to do free work in order to build your portfolio. I just dislike it when people don't charge enough, or I dislike it when people don't value photography enough to pay good money for it, especially for things like weddings, because this is your like one chance. You don't reshoot an entire wedding, So if you're hiring a photographer that's charging you $600, you're going to get shitty photos and it's going to suck because it's your wedding day and you don't want crappy photos on your wedding day, So yeah, I think it does have its place. I think like with weddings, I think you should start with family and friends. I think if you have like a family member who's getting married, offer to take photos at their wedding. And if you know somebody who's not having like a big wedding, even better. If it's maybe their second or third wedding, great, because they probably don't care about it as much. It gives you a little bit more lenience to mess up and whatever else. I think that portraiture is really easy to do free work for because, like I said, you just DM some people and say, hey, I want to take some photos of you. I think that if somebody comes to you and says, hey, I want you to shoot a wedding. I want you to shoot this. I want you to shoot this. I'm not going to pay you. Unless it's like Kylie Jenner or you have some like crazy amount of exposure, something that's like measurable. Why? Unless it's, of course, a friend. So I guess my example kind of goes more to like, if somebody finds you on Kijiji or something, say you have a Kijiji ad up, somebody finds you on Kijiji, they say, hey, I want you to shoot this. I'm not going to pay you. Why? Why would you do that? Your point of putting an ad up on Kijiji is to get paid, right? So it doesn't really make a lot of sense. So I think it's necessary, but I think you should only do it for a very short amount of time before you start charging. Mm-hmm. Even if it's a small amount, I think you should charge because as soon as you shoot your first wedding, now you have a portfolio, at least the beginnings of one. So you might not be charging, $5,000 for wedding photography, which is, it's high, but not really that high because I know photographers that charge $10,000. But you could charge $500. You've already done one. You know, why give the second away for free? 500 is still an amazing deal, especially if you know your market. And I think that's really important too, is knowing your market, knowing your competition, and bringing something to the table that other people don't. But in terms of free work, yeah, do it once maybe, and after that, start charging.
So a way I want to take with the working for free conversation is my first guest says what he does for his Instagram is he does photo shoots, and he'll DM different photographers, but he's a student, like he can't afford to really pay anything. So he'll offer he'll offer exposure, like just crediting of course. And he'll also say I'll take you a networking event with me, cause he's really well connected and stuff, and introduce you to people. And I got a DM about that one from a buddy of mine. So it wasn't it was a random person. He's like, hey, I'm a photographer. This really didn't sit well with me because I don't think you should ever do free work. It takes time to do this. I totally get that, and I agree, but it's just a matter of if you have not really a portfolio. He'll usually DM people with just starting or students and stuff to try and get people to help him get content for his Instagram. And where does that kind of resonate? Where does that hit with you? And I won't be offended either way. I'm genuinely curious.
No, yeah. It's a good conversation to have. I think that if you're just starting out, sure, take some photos for free. If you think that going to this networking event is worth it to you, do it. Whoever it is that's asking these amateur photographers to do the photos, he or she has to be okay with not getting great photos.
Yeah. And that's what he said too. He's like, I'm not looking for a great photo. He's like, I basically just need someone to hold the camera and take up nothing crazy. So it's not like he's looking for a crazy edited thing, or he doesn't even. A big thing too is he said don't even I know how much work is, don't edit it, don't have to worry about it. I know that's for some photographers they want, if they're getting credit, to be their edit.
Yeah, but I fundamentally disagree with that.
Yeah,
I think that if you're a photographer who gives away the raw photos, you're giving away an unfinished product. It's just going to hurt you in the long run because it is your work. I would much rather if somebody came to me and said, hey, I want you to take this photo. If I was doing it for free, I would want to kill it and then charge them after they go, holy shit, this is an amazing photo. Yeah. I want you to work for me. I would want to charge them after. So I think spec work has its place. If you're getting amateur photographers to work for you, then you're going to get crappy photos. I fundamentally disagree with giving away raw photos, though.
It makes sense though. I totally get it, because if you want it to accurately represent your work.
Exactly. Yeah. And the other thing too, I can only speak to wedding photography, but if a wedding client says, hey, can I have all the photos from the day? They're getting 10,000 photos and it's going to be way too overwhelming for them. Literally every time they'll take one look at how many photos there are and then they'll go, maybe I'll do this later. And then they never do it. So there's no point, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. I think that's the thing that people don't realize is how many photos you take over the course of a shoot. I'm by no means a professional photographer, but I've done some stuff for work where I would literally shoot for an hour and I got 500-600 pictures.
Yeah, totally.
And people are like, why are you taking so many? That's just what you have to do.
Yeah, you got to get the best one to turn out, right?
I just don't think people understand how many times you click that button.
Tons.
Not just click the button. It's not just a shutter, basically. I know there's a lot more that goes into it than just that. But in terms of just working with people and doing photo shoots, is there, kind of back to the modeling thing, is there any dream people you'd like to shoot, not necessarily collab with on a photography end, but a model you really want to work with? There are a couple different ones. Yeah.
I think there's one down in New York who I'd really love to work with. Her name is Paige Jimenez. She was actually on MasterChef. She's doing professional cooking now, and she models, and also Charlie Jordan. Those would be the two.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not bad. Is there any brands you want to work with? I know you tag Sony Alpha and all your stuff, and I was going to ask if you are sponsored by them or anything.
I am not sponsored by Sony Alpha. I am hoping to be. Obviously, I think it's every photographer's, dream to be able to say that they work for Sony or Canon or Nikon or whoever it is that they shoot for. There is kind of the pro club thing for each brand. They have their members club, but you have to prove that you are in fact a professional doing it full time, et cetera, which unfortunately because of school I can't. But that would be the one brand that I do really want to work for. I also would really like to work for maybe some clothing brands. I'm not sure which ones yet, but it just kind of goes towards the lifestyle type photos. Really anything that could be lifestyle. Obviously camera brands aren't exactly lifestyle, but I'm a photographer, camera brands, it fits in, you know?
Makes sense.
Yeah. So Sony would be awesome. Maybe like Brandy Melville or something along those lines. I'm trying to think of what else. Who else would I want to be sponsored by? I'd like to be sponsored by Squarespace one day. Yeah. I just see like a lot of podcasts, a lot of YouTube channels. They're all sponsored by Squarespace.
Sponsor everyone.
Yeah. And I mean, I use Squarespace, so it's, it would be cool. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I hear you. And then, so in terms of like posting, you're like pretty much mainly on Instagram. I see you trying to do Twitter a little bit, and you have a Facebook page, but
yeah, I wouldn't say I'm trying to do Twitter. I have a Twitter account. I don't really post to it that much. I don't really make an effort. Sometimes I have something funny that pops in my head. I'm like, tweet it, you know. My Facebook page is more for marketing my other photography stuff. I hope, at least that's kind of where I want to push it. My Instagram is more geared towards brands and the lifestyle type things, but I want my Facebook to be more geared towards family photos, weddings, stuff like that, so I can appeal to the Facebook using audience rather than the Instagram using audience. In terms of Twitter, yeah, I mean, it's dead to me pretty much. Like it's nothing. Yeah. So
like, do you have any tips? Because with Instagram being obviously your most successful platform, do you have any tips for people that want to grow theirs?
Their Instagram, I would say, well, if they have numerous social media, I would say focus on one. Like, just work hard at doing one platform and then trying to kind of cross-pollinate. Master one thing first and then add on to it. In terms of growing your Instagram, post consistently. Try to interact with as many people as possible and try to interact with new people. I think that's a big thing too. I think a lot of people get caught up with like who's following them, who's not, or like who they follow, stuff like that. But I think if you want to grow, you need to find people who don't follow you, who you don't follow, but have similar interests. So like the one thing that I did when I first started off was I would go to Brandon Woelfer's profile and I would see who follows him, and I would just go down the list, click on their profile, engage with a couple, go back, click on the next one, engage with a couple posts, go back, click on the next one, over and over and over and over. And at the same time, I was posting some Brandon Woelfer inspired content, so it was good because you could kind of maybe suck some of his following over a little bit. But consistency is just the big one, post every day and be engaging with your audience and try to give back as much as you can.
Yeah, that's fair. And then, so you talked about like focus on one platform and really work at it.
Mm-hmm.
How many hours a week would you say you work on your Instagram, or even how many hours a day?
I don't know. Now, a lot less than before. When I was first starting out, I would spend like, I don't know, maybe 3 hours a day, every day, commenting and liking and whatever else. But nowadays, I spend an hour on Monday or Tuesday posting and engaging with people like that. And then other than that, I haven't really actively tried to grow my following the same ways that I used to. I've just been, liking photos. My Instagram use nowadays has become more for me than it has been for my photography. I just scroll through to see who's doing what and who's posting what photos and whatever else. If I see some cool photos from my favorite photographers, I'll give them a comment and whatever else. But it is true, once you hit 10K, it's pretty, not even 10K. Once you start getting up to around like 7,000, 8,000, it starts kind of exponentially growing a little bit. But I haven't really been trying to grow past 11 recently anyways.
Yeah, that's fair. And I think you touched on earlier, you want to do YouTube.
Yes.
So what would your game plan with you? It would be the travel videos? It'd be more vlogging?
Yeah, it would be a lot of travel videos and I think a lot of tutorials. I was really bummed when Peter McKinnon started doing vlogs because it was switching up his brand for me. And I think he kind of lost me as a fan a little bit. Peter McKinnon, I still love you, but it just doesn't interest me. When I sit down and I watch YouTube, I find that when I'm looking at other people's daily lives, at the end of the video, I'm just stuck thinking to myself, I want my 15 minutes back. Like, I could be out doing something rather than just sitting here watching somebody else like ride a go-kart. Yeah. It's really not that special, like you went go-kart riding, cool. Who cares? You have 2 million subscribers. How? Right? So I think I would do tutorials and travel videos. I really like the idea of making like cinematic videos. But those would be my two main things.
When you say cinematic, are you talking like how Peter McKinnon does his cinematic like B-roll and stuff? Or are you talking like with effects, like a Sam Colder type edit?
Yeah, so Sam Colder is very unique with editing. I don't think I would want to edit my photos to be like Sam Colder's, but definitely like a similar style, kind of like going to foreign countries, doing crazy stuff, whatever else. Peter McKinnon's B-roll, same thing. You know, it's great. It's great footage. It's cinematic. But I kind of want to make something maybe a little bit longer. His B-roll segments are usually just kind of short additions to his video. And I would rather make like a 3-minute video of maybe like Sam Colder does a whole video about his traveling, but I would want to edit it probably different than Sam Colder.
Yeah.
Again, that just goes back to the whole emulation thing, and Sam Colder already does it his way, and like that's his way, and I don't want to just bite his style and whatever else. So
yeah. So is the plan to start YouTube soon, or what are you thinking?
Yeah, pretty soon. I think we're gonna film a little bit in Iceland, and I think after Iceland, I'll probably start it up. It is a little bit hard right now with school and everything else, but we'll just have to see. Again, it's one of those things that you have to really commit to. I don't believe in starting something that you're not committed to. So if I'm starting YouTube, I want to make sure I'm posting every week at least, like once a week, maybe twice. I'd rather do twice a week, but we'll see. But if school comes around and I don't have time for it, then I probably just won't even start it. Because I don't believe in half-assing it. I think it just, again, it hurts your brand. If you post every once in a while, it's kind of like, okay. But if you can post every day, every week or whatever.
That consistency part plays a factor.
Huge.
So not just beginning tips for Instagrammers, I guess, more so now let's dive into tips for beginner photography.
Yeah. Well, like I said, photography is not just about taking photos, especially if you want to make it into a business. There is the whole business side of things. And somebody once said to me, and I think it rings true, you don't have to be a good photographer to run a successful photography business. I know tons of photographers who get tons of clients. I don't know how, and they take, in my opinion, maybe not the greatest photos. So I think don't worry about what other people are doing. Don't worry about how you compare yourself to other people. Practice, practice, practice. Don't expect to make a lot of money for quite a long time, because you probably won't. Because everybody has a camera now and everybody can take photos and thinks that they're a photographer. And I would say just practice. Try not to let it get to your head, other people's work. Even me, I still struggle. I see other people's photos and I think to myself, wow, that's such an incredible photo. Like I wish my work looked like that. And I have to remind myself that, there's a following of people that actually do like my work and they like what I post. So don't lose yourself in other people's photos, and just work hard. Practice every day. If you can take photos every day for a year, it's like playing guitar or anything else. If you're doing it every day for a year, then you will see significant increase in your skill.
I think one important thing you touched on too is with being good at business is some people think that the art is enough to carry them and get them clients, which it can to a very small extent, but a big part of it, like you said, is being big at business. Yeah. And of course, obviously, like the quality is still important. Even if you're good at business, like you still need to know what you're doing and produce good content. But I agree 100%.
Yeah, I think the art can carry you, but the problem with that is that your art needs to be better than anybody else's out there. So if you're just the average photographer, and again, I don't look at my work and think it's like amazing. I'm the same as Jim Joe down the street. Like everybody takes good photos. Architect takes good photos. Kerbens takes good photos. Joey Kidney takes good photos. Like they're all good. I'm in no way, I don't want to say not unique, but it's not like anybody else can't do what I'm doing. I hate to say it because it kind of hurts a little bit, but it's the truth. If your art is carrying you solely your photos, you need to have something that nobody else has. Brandon Woelfer had that. Samuel Elkins had that. You need to have your own thing. And it's so hard nowadays to find your own thing. So I think that it's much more manageable to be a really good photographer and have your art definitely help. But you definitely need to be good at business too.
No, I agree. 100%. And then what about gear for beginner photographers? Where do you land on gear? Because I feel like people stress so much about what camera they're using.
Yeah. As somebody who's spent a lot of money on gear and regrets it 100%.
Oh, really?
No, not regrets it. I would say like I have a full kit. I have a pro camera. I have all the lenses I could possibly need. I don't need anything else. That being said, for most instances, I use 2 lenses and I have like 8. So I would say buy a full frame camera. If you're a beginner, buy a full frame camera and buy like a Sigma lens. Sigma makes really good art lenses. They're pro level gear, but like a third of the price. So I would say those 2 things. I am a firm believer of raising to the level of your gear. I think it's hard to grow on like a Rebel T3i because it's so limiting. I think if you have the possibilities, you'll explore them and you'll in turn become a better photographer. So I think buy a semi-pro camera or a pro camera if you're really, really serious about getting into it. That investment right there should push you to work harder because now you've spent $4,000. And buy a good Sigma lens. They're cheap and they're cheap. They're about $1,000. So they're cheap for pro level stuff, but they're amazing. And I would say that's really all you need. Maybe like a 35 millimeter lens is probably all you need just to start. Depends on what you're taking photos of too. If you're taking photos of events, then you might want a 24-70, but that's going to cost a couple $1,000. But I think in terms of gear, it's definitely nice to have a lot of gear, but you don't need it.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I think I hear a lot of people too is like gear doesn't matter, but it does play into an extent. Like,
yeah, totally.
Like just an example, like I was shooting inside a hockey rink last week, and I have just this camera here, so I can't get it very bright without it being extremely like noisy, like the amount of like fuzz in there. But then like the other photographer like almost like kind of brag to me, showing me his pictures, and they're like great, nothing, just because his gear can get
handle
more light in it. Exactly. Whereas mine can't. So I hear so often that gear doesn't matter. It does to an extent. Like I totally understand where people are coming from when they say it doesn't matter, but I think I agree like with like what you're saying is I think it matters. And to your point, if you're getting that good gear, it will motivate you more because you've made that investment. Yeah.
And it allows you to explore the options. Like you said, like having amateur gear is very limiting. And having pro gear, you have all these options that you can explore and kind of get to know a lot better. But I think, you know, if you shot a wedding with a Rebel T3i, it'll be dangerous. You only have 1 card slot in there. Like if something goes wrong, that's not good. You will ruin your reputation for the rest of your career if you shot on a Rebel T3i and something went wrong. For the rest of your career, you will never recover from that. So I think having good gear is important if you're going to do this professionally. You do not, however, need every single piece of gear, every single lens, every single camera. I've made that mistake. It is what it is. I use them a lot actually, but that's because I try to range a lot of different types of photographs. So, but you definitely don't need it all, especially when you're first starting out. That's fair. Yeah.
And then in terms of the art, what do you hope people take away from your photography and your work?
I honestly just want people to feel something. Like I just want them to look at my photos, and even if it's just appreciation, that's enough for me. But I would really like people to look at my photos and feel maybe happiness, or maybe my old photos and feel maybe just comfort. I think a lot with my old photos, they were pretty dark, and I wanted people to feel comfortable knowing that there's people out there that also like feel dark. You know what I mean? And I think that just being able to evoke some sort of emotion or motivation even is something that I aim for. And when I say motivation, I mean I've really geared myself towards a new lifestyle type stuff on my Instagram. I want to be able to have somebody say like, man, I saw Will Carey's photos. I want to live like that. Or I want to do that activity. I want to be able to do these things. And they go out, they buy a camera, they invest, they work hard. I want them to make something for themselves and me be able to inspire them to do that.
Yeah. So what's next for Will Carey?
What's next for me? This trip to Iceland is what's next for me. It'll be good. The trip to Iceland, getting school done, and just continuing to take photos. That's about it.
Any long-term goals you're striving for?
YouTube. The YouTube channel would be a long-term goal I'm striving for. Definitely do another giveaway for the YouTube channel once that gets up and running. Working with brands, just growing. I mean, I wouldn't say there's one specific thing. There's no one number, one measurable unit that I can say I'm like, that's my long-term goal. I just want to continue to grow. Like, I just want to keep going, Yeah. I want to continue to take photos. I want people to continue to like them. I want to be able to continue to work with the brands that I want to work with and work with the people I want to work with and just enjoy it.
Yeah.
Ride the wave.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So the next thing I've been calling it rapid fire, sure. But I think I'm changing it to Q&A, because when I say rapid fire, everyone thinks rapid answers.
Right.
But I don't need rapid answers. Like, if you want to really like dive into it or anything, like, we can totally do that. Sure. So we'll just start with the first one. What's a show you're binging on Netflix right now?
Show that I'm binging on Netflix.
Or it doesn't have to be like Crave, whatever. Like, it doesn't have to be Netflix.
Right.
But yeah.
I'm not binging anything at the moment. But I would say my favorite shows on Netflix. I watch a lot of Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Awesome show.
Yeah, great show. I watched a lot of Rick and Morty. I watch a lot of movies as well. I'm a big cinema fan.
Yep.
So whatever comes on Netflix, I'll probably end up watching it. But yeah, those are two of the biggest TV shows that I probably watch.
What's your favorite app that's not Instagram, Facebook, Twitter?
Oh, all three. Okay.
Yeah, can't be any of the three.
That's tough. I don't know if I really use probably my Starbucks app.
Okay.
That would be it.
Yep.
I don't use very many other apps. I do use an app to help organize my feed for my upcoming posts. It's
UNUM?
UNUM, yeah. How did you know that? Was that just a lucky guess, or did you actually?
That was just a lucky guess.
Okay.
Like, that's an app I know of.
Okay.
And that's usually one of the examples I will give to sometimes.
Yeah. I was like, how does he know? Cool. Yeah. Starbucks. I'm addicted to iced chai tea lattes, so that's it's always on my phone, always open.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fair. Instagrammers that people should be following.
Instagrammers that people should be following. Man, I could name so many, like TheRealKerbens, The.Architxct, Zach Alia, Ashley in Wonderland. There's so many photographers. I'm trying to even think. Blue. Tons. Charlie Jordan, Paige Jimenez. Trying to think of other photographers.
I'll try to link all those in the show notes too, so people can find them. But
those are just people that I really like their work and they really inspire me. Obviously, like Sam Colder, we mentioned, he's dope. Trying to think who else. Yeah, those are some off the top of my head that those are the ones that I see on a daily basis that inspire me or I would want to work with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. What about YouTubers? Who do you watch on YouTube?
YouTubers. Well, Peter McKinnon, I guess I really don't like his vlogs, but if you are looking to learn some photography, then his older videos are definitely worth it. I'm trying to think of who else do I usually watch. Honestly, I usually just go on the recommended page and just watch recommended videos. There aren't too many YouTubers that I'm subscribed to that I watch on a regular basis. Matty Hapoya is nice. He used to do travel feels, which was a lot of travel videos and whatnot. So he was cool. He still is cool. Watch him a little bit. But those would be the two big ones that I watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Music you're listening to right now? The random, the better.
Oh man, so much. Isaiah Rashad's always on rotation. Actually, I almost want to whip out my. Can I whip out my phone?
Man,
I want to see what I am listening to recently.
Most definitely.
Yeah, let's see. I got MGK a little bit just because of his Eminem diss. I've kind of gone back and started listening to his old stuff. But I've got some random stuff. Stupid Young, rapper out from SoCal, I think. Coming up. Reason, he just got signed to TDE. Boz, his new album. There's one artist that I really, really do like. His name is Callian Fox. I don't know if I'm saying it right. He's a YouTuber, makes super random weird videos, but he started doing music and it actually bumps pretty hard. Yeah. Those would be like LMA too. Yeah, those would be like the big ones I'm listening to right now.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then keeping with like the audio trend podcasts, do you listen to any podcasts?
Yeah, I listened to the Art of Visuals podcast way back. I haven't given it a listen to recently. I've just been too busy. But they did a lot of photographers. They had a lot of my favorite photographers on. They had like Luke Gottlieb and Ashley in Wonderland and a lot of others. So I would definitely check them out because they're awesome.
Yeah. Any books like that you would recommend?
Books. Oh man, the only books I read are textbooks right now. Yeah, I don't do too much reading in my spare time. Like I said, it's a lot of work. Working for Union 11 and then plus my own stuff on the side, I'm working 14-hour days, so I don't have a lot of time for reading.
Yeah, that's fair. So this is like a local specific question. What's like a must-eat spot or a hidden gem of a restaurant in Ottawa?
A must-eat spot in Ottawa. Okay, let me think about this. Where have I gone? If you like sushi and Korean food, Kochu is really good. I think it's pretty well known. Like I don't think it's like a hidden spot or anything, but definitely really good food at Kochu. I'm trying to think what else. I'll always love Elgin Street Diner. Pretty much anything in Byward Market. Warehouse is always keeping it down for me. So nice cheap burgers.
Yeah, can't go wrong.
Yeah,
awesome. What's your morning and night routine?
Morning and night routine. Yeah, wake up, eat breakfast, go to work.
That's fair.
It's nothing crazy. I wake up around 7, 8, and just do my thing. Nighttime editing pretty much all night. It's like until 12 p.m. and then I just go to sleep. Yeah. That's fair. Yeah. No special night routines.
Nothing. It's something I'm like looking at, like, cause I follow, like, I don't know if you know Tim Ferriss. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So he's big on like routines and so we kind of poke around and it's interesting to see what other people do. Yeah. So
no, nothing too big, just do my thing. It's a lot of work. Yeah. That's it. Just
fair, though.
Keep busy,
Yeah. So this one, do you know Gary Vaynerchuk?
Yep.
So this one,
who doesn't know Gary V?
I know, you'd be surprised some of the people that everyone that's been on here for the most part, I think knows, but some people that it just bogs my mind when they don't know him. Right. But anyways, he has a question called, "What are you obsessed with?" And it's not like, I'm obsessed with feeding the children, which is great, but this is like nitty gritty. Like I have a pair of socks, or like my brother has this new girlfriend and she's just super cool, or like all this like random thing you're obsessed with right now.
Random thing I'm obsessed with right now.
Could be like a purchase you made recently.
Yeah, I just got a new laptop and I cannot stop thinking about it. It's honestly like forefront of my brain at all times. I'm rocking like this crappy 13-inch 2013 MacBook Pro right now, and I just got the new 2018 15-inch like souped up, super fast MacBook. So that's something I'm really obsessed. I just like went out and bought a whole bunch of accessories for it and shit like that. So yeah, that would be my one thing. Like, yeah, it comes on the 13th.
Oh, you don't have it yet? Like, no. It's almost here though. That's awesome.
That's why I can't stop thinking about it. It's like it's almost in my hands.
Yeah, like a week, just under a week now. I guess that's next Thursday, I think.
Yeah.
So, oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
3 items on your bucket list.
3 items on my bucket list. To do or to own?
To do.
To do?
To do. Well, or to own. Like maybe that's one of the things. Like it can be anything that's on your.
Yeah. Thailand. Drive a race car. Could be Formula One. Could be even just like a souped up Mercedes AMG. I don't really care. Skydive.
Nice.
Those would be the ones.
I think skydive is like a staple on everyone's.
Yeah. You have to do it once.
I think you do. Yeah. So you're going to dinner. You can take 3 people with you. This question is a classic. They can be dead or alive. Who are you bringing with you and why?
I would probably bring Zach Alia just because he's a staple for me in the photography community. I would bring probably Obama just because. And my grandfather, he's passed away, but he was a doctor and really smart. And very troubled. And I think he passed away when I was about 10 years old, and I didn't really get a chance to talk to him and kind of pick his brain. So it was the one thing that I've always kind of wished for, is to be able to talk to him again. Yeah. So Those would be my 3.
What's the best advice you ever got, and who's it from?
Best advice I ever got.
This is a tough one. Like, if someone asked me this, I would honestly have no idea. Like, this is a hard question.
I would say stop focusing on others would be a really big one. And the whole thing about not being a good photographer, but still being a successful photographer, that's really big for me too, I think.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Do you remember who gave you that advice? Or
No,
it's just
I have no idea.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
I think everybody just kind of says it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What's one thing about you that people would not expect?
Not expect. Oh, this is tough. I would say like I'm a little bit of a nerd.
Okay.
I don't spend like a lot of time playing games or anything, but I definitely enjoy them. Yeah. I'm not just a big rap head. I know I named like so many rap artists, but that's just what I've been listening to recently. But I listen to a lot of different alternative, rock, everything. Love video games, and I've more than just this tattoo, but they're all covered up. They're just all over. Yeah. But everybody that says, "Oh, like, is that your first tattoo?" I'm like, "No." They're like, "Really?" But yeah, those would be my things.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, and then, so final question is, what's something you want everyone to know? It could be about you, or it just could be like something that you just think people need to know.
Don't give up. Like, I think hard work pays off, and it takes a long time to be successful, and there's a grind to it, and you need to just grind it out. That'd be my thing. Don't give up.
Awesome. Well, man, I want to give you the floor.
Cool.
Since all of the cameras have died, that's the camera if you want to look
Awesome.
into it. Let
all
people know where they can find you.
Yeah, you can see my Instagram at Will Carey OVO. My other socials kind of suck, so maybe just go to that one and check out the photography if you really like photography, and let me know what you think.
Awesome. And actually, okay, that one other thing, last question, why the OVO?
I was born on Halloween. Okay. So Drake's OVO brand stands for October's Very Own. And I was just kind of like, fuck Drake. Yeah. I'm October's Very Own. It was conceited. I know I'm not Drake or Drake level, but yeah. I was just like, oh, that's cool. Like October's Very Own. I'll add it on there. I tried to change it actually. I messaged the person who has just Will Carey on Instagram. He wanted like $300 for the username, and I was like, no. But yeah, I did want to kind of distance myself from the OVO, just because it's somebody else's thing, right? And I don't want it. But yeah, Halloween, birthday, October, yeah, just liked it.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you everyone for listening this far. Thank you, Will, for being on the episode of the
podcast.
Thank
you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no worries. As Will said, make sure you guys go give him a follow at Will Carey OVO. It'll be linked in the show notes and in the description, so make sure you go check him out. He has some awesome pictures. And thank you once again for listening. If you've listened this far, I really appreciate it. If you want to chuck me a follow, you can. Twitter, Instagram at TheJacobKelly. And if you want to follow the podcast on Instagram at MySocialPod. Again, everything linked in the show notes, and make sure you follow Will. Thanks again, everyone. We'll talk soon.
Awesome.
Thank you for listening to this episode of My Social Life. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to listen to this podcast. Whether you've listened the entire way through or only bits and pieces, it means a lot to me that you're taking the time to listen to it. And if you want to do me a favor, guys, go check out Will on Instagram. He's a great photographer. His pictures are only going to brighten up your feed. A great follow that you won't regret. You can find him again at Will Carey OVO. And if you wish to follow me on Instagram, you totally can. My Twitter and Instagram account is at TheJacobKelly. And feel free to shoot me a DM, guys. I'm always love to chat with people that listen to this podcast about anything you got. And if you wish to follow My Social Life on Instagram, you totally can at MySocialPod. And something new I want to try out with that Instagram is, if you're listening to this podcast, screenshot it, post it to your story, tag at MySocialPod, and I will share it to our Instagram story. I'd love to see who's listening to this podcast. So if you guys want to do that, that's a cool thing I want to try out. And one final thing, guys, make sure you leave a rating and a review. It helps the podcast get discovered more on podcast platforms. We've recently surpassed the 100 download mark. I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but that's the first milestone on the road to many, guys. So to everyone that's downloaded this episode and past episodes, thank you. I hope we're growing something special here, and let's keep growing it. So if you can leave a rating and a review to help more people find this podcast, that'd be awesome, guys. Thank you once again for listening, and we'll talk soon.